Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. I'm Nate with Dyed for Life, and today we're going to be going over the spider pattern.
First thing we're going to do is wash the shirt. We need to wash off any kind of chemicals that may have been put on in the factory. They put like anti-stain and anti-wrinkle chemicals on them, so we do need to wash that to make sure that the dye sticks. You can use regular laundry detergent, that's just fine. And then you're going to run it on a regular cycle. You'll need some soda ash as well. So you can go to the store, get some soda ash. This is what I use. And then you're going to do 1 cup per 1 gallon of water. Stir it up really well. Hot water works well. Make sure it's stirred and dissolved, and then you're going to let your shirt soak for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then you want to wring them out, get as much of the liquid out as possible, and then I put them in the washing machine and do a spin only cycle, and that spins them out to the perfect dampness. So make sure you do not run the rinse. So with mine, I got to push it as many times till it shuts off, and then it's good to go.
So first thing I'm going to do, turn this inside out, and then I'm going to lay it face up on the table. And I'm going to take out all these wrinkles, make sure it's completely even on both sides. So the pattern that we're doing is mirrored from left to right. So it's very important that we take out all of the wrinkles here, and we make sure that both sides are the same. So once we fold this in half, our pattern will not be the same on both sides if we don't do this properly. And like some patterns, it doesn't really matter if it's the same on one side or the other, but because we're doing the spider pattern is a mirrored pattern. So we want that to be the same. Okay. So now I got all these wrinkles out for the most part. We're flat. I'm going to turn this to the side just because I find this easier to do it this way. And then the shirt is going to be folded in half. So I'm going to take these 2 points here, bring these over, line up here, line up here. We're going to come over to here and then line this up, line your sleeve up, and then try to smooth out any wrinkles here. Okay, you don't want to feel, so I've got a wrinkle. So the goal is smooth outwards this way. That way if your middle point is folded correctly, then everything works out from that. So this is your constant basically. So this is what we're working from. Okay. So I'm going to finish taking out these folds. I can still feel some. I'm about smooth. So if you take the shirt and kind of like pull like I am right here, it'll smooth it out. And then you take your other hand and flatten it, and it kind of holds in that smoothness. Okay, so now we're smooth. These are just chopsticks, rubber band, rubber band. This is my spiral tool. The spider design is a spiral. So if I happen to say spiral at any point during this, I do mean spider. This is the spider design, and it is a spiral pattern. It is a folded spiral. So what we're going to do is we're going to come right here to the middle. And about 2 fingers below the armpit is typically your center point. So what we're going to do, take our chopsticks, and we're going to put them right in there. And then we're going to turn counterclockwise. with the way that this is folded. If you have it folded the other way. So basically you're going to be pulling the bottom towards the top. And technically you can go either way. With it being a spider, what that's going to do is it's going to make the spider uh, face a different direction. So that's really going to be up to you, honestly. And so with this, the way that this is going to do is like the butt of the spider is going to be right here, and then the arms and the arms are going to be up here, legs down here, and like so body right here. Okay, so I'm going to twist this, kind of help out. So what we want is our folds to go all the way out. Just kind of get those ones started. There's going to be some folds in the middle. Okay, so we just twist this and see how it's all naturally doing its folds here. So sometimes we don't want these to get too tall, and we will have to come through and sort of help some of this out. Create a fold here. See how it started down here? We want these to go all the way out. Okay, so we're going to twist that up a little bit more. Come over here to the arm. These thicker areas, they definitely have a harder time doing the fold on its own. So just come through and give it a little help. All right, so that's, see how it just twists now? So that's as much as we can twist into it. So now we're going to take this and fold. Stick your thumb right here so that you can hold this. Keep a little tension. We're going to come smooth these folds out. Now doing this, what we're doing right here, this is going to give you a nice clean pattern. And you'll definitely see the slight extra work by doing this. Okay, you're gonna have a bold pattern. It's gonna be obvious what design it is, although not everybody knows what the spider design is. Once you tell them and show it, you're like, oh, okay, definitely. Now I see why it's called the spider. I actually did not understand why this was called the spider the first time that I saw it, and then once I saw it done correct, I was like, okay, got it. Now I understand. Okay, so see how it's just a spiral here. All right, so I'm gonna take my all on the outside, squeeze this in so that it holds just like that, so that when I let go, it's not moving much, but it is opening. So I'm gonna come through, I'm gonna put rubber bands on, make sure to hold this. And I always rotate so that I'm putting on rubber bands like this. It's just a little easier. Careful not to mess up your pattern if you do so. And at this point, our rubber bands are holding on, so this can come out. Be very careful taking that out. You don't want to pull the center out, or you're going to have to redo this whole thing again. Okay, so we'll put our last two rubber bands on here. And you want these flaps to be like, so you don't want like this big flap here like this. You do want this like this. And I always kind of section mine. So I use 4 rubber bands every single time, always 4. And it puts 8 sections. If you do less, it doesn't quite put enough tension, and if you put more, it'll put too much and it'll collapse on itself. Okay, we'll pull that out. We'll be kind of adjust a little bit here, but we're good. So now we're going to dye that. All right, the color I'm going to use, I'm just going to use one single color here. And this color is a custom color that I made. I had an order earlier. They had so they ordered some tropical teal, and I've been playing around with some teals and turquoises and blues and greens and all kinds of stuff. And out of the custom color I've got, this is the last little bit, but this is also an even brighter version of it. I didn't quite have enough of that dye left in order to do this. And so I did make this a little bit brighter. And this color almost looks exactly like what the color I was trying to make for that order. In that order, I may have made it a little. So I sent them a picture. They said they loved it. And from the picture that they sent me, I may have made it just a little too deep, just a little. And I did make it twice too. So the very, very first one was definitely 100% too deep. And so then I went half strength just to make it brighter. It was still, I mean, it's a good color. I still think it was too deep. This right here, this is going to be lighter than what it looks. And now that I'm actually seeing the camera view and it in person, so in person, this is 100% the tropical teal that I was going for. 100%. On screen, it probably looks a little more blue. I have noticed that everything seems to correct more blue. It's nuts. I even like the last two shirts I even put next to each other and took a picture. You can't even hardly tell a difference in the same picture, even though they look different in person. So I'm gonna flip this over. We're gonna see just how far through. So I'm gonna use some more here. We're gonna get these thick parts. Looks like I'm gonna be using all 12 ounces of this color. So once this color is gone, it is gone. And every time I make it, it's all slightly different. I seem to be able to get pretty close to making the same color, but it ends up being a little different each time. Just a little. Okay, well, did not realize I was almost out of black here, but I have just enough for this. So black's important on this pattern. What black does is this is going to give the spider pattern, basically. So without this, not really sure exactly what it would look like without this. If I left it white, then the white would kind of have the same effect, but I don't think it would work as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is put just enough on this side to make sure that it covers everything, but we're not trying to saturate like too much over here, especially since I have like no black left in this. I definitely need to mix more black for sure, but I'm already here and doing this, so we're just gonna get this done with what I got. So we're gonna flip that over and see how the dye has come through. That's what we want. So that means that putting this on, it's gonna meet up with that other color in the middle, and we won't have any white or very little white possibly in between the two. So with how little black it feels like is in here, I'm just hoping that I can get this whole thing done. And actually, I think I do have a dark gray I may be able to use to fill in, but I'm gonna just go with this. I'm just gonna use what's here. So it is definitely running out, and right about now out. Okay. So both sides are black now. This feels definitely fully saturated, so I'm just gonna give one little squeeze here. It feels a little oversaturated, so I think I may have used a little too much dye. So what I'm gonna do, and if you do this, take a towel. It looks kind of like this. See how it's got all kinds of, this has been used and washed many times, lots of dye. I absorb some of that dye. That way it's not soaking wet. If it's soaking and drip it to the point where it drips, it'll make the colors muddy. So we don't want that. Okay, so that's good to go. We're gonna let that sit till tomorrow and then wash it out. All right, so this shirt batched. I think it's actually been 2 days since I dyed this. So you can let your shirt sit for more than 24 hours. 24 hours is kind of a basic rule. So now we're going to rinse this with cold water to start off with. When you give it a good rinse, you're going to see some of the colors start to come out the bottom. So you can see over there. Depending on how much dye you use, will really be dependent on how much dye comes out here. It doesn't seem like we can see a whole lot coming out. There is some dye coming out, of course. I did also use this is a lighter color too, so sometimes the lighter colors, they just don't put out as much dye as they're rinsing, so you don't have to rinse quite as much. This actually looks like this would be good for our cold water rinse. A lot of times you could be sitting here rinsing for 4 or 5 minutes just for this initial rinse right here. Sometimes you're not. It just really depends on the shirt you're using and how much dye you used. Okay, so I'm going to squeeze that out, and you can see how much more dye is coming out there. Pull our rubber bands off. And be careful taking these rubber bands off. It will fling dye around, so if you're in an area where you can't get dye places, be very careful taking those off. Okay. We're going to untwist our spiral, which is actually a spider pattern. It is a spiral that's folded in half. Okay. And we're going to continue to rinse with cold water here. And if you have like multiple colors and stuff right here, when areas touch, that's where you're going to have the most bleeding. So with this being all pretty much like the same color, it's not as important. But right here, you'll definitely need to go over, get everything quickly. That's funny, I can see the color change as I rinse. I haven't rinsed right there, it's still kind of green. So then I hit it and it's turned more turquoise. So it looks like the green is rinsing out of this, and it's going more into the turquoise shade. It's going to be kind of an aqua teal, aqua turquoise. It's hard to tell sometimes. And now as I'm even like looking on the camera, it looks super blue on the camera, but here in person, this is definitely more of a turquoise teal. It seems to be something about these turquoise and teals have a hard time taking their true color, but they always seem to adjust to a blue. So this is a color you definitely have to see in person to really get that color. Okay, so now we've rinsed pretty good with cold water. Now we're going to move over to hot water, and we're going to continue rinsing. You're going to want the water that's coming off of it to be mostly clear. It's never going to be all the way clear, but mostly clear. And this hot water, what this hot water is going to do is release more dye than the cold water. The cold water rinse is to get most of your dye out, but also to rinse any soda ash out. If there's any active soda ash or any active dye still left, when those mix with the hot water and you have multiple colors, they can stain when they start to bleed into another color. So by rinsing with cold water first, that keeps that bleeding from happening, and then you rinse with the hot water to get the rest of the color out after all of your soda ash has already been rinsed out. So this feels like it still has a bit of dye, so not a whole lot's coming out. So I'm going to squeeze. I'm going to do one squeeze. Now you can see how it's actually getting lighter, although not black, of course. And I'm going to do one more rinse. So you can never really rinse out too much. There's nothing that you can do here to take out any of the color. It's gone through a chemical reaction, and any color that is left is there. So there's no, you can't overwash it, you can't over rinse it and get the color out. What you're trying to do is get all of this dye out, and your color will be left behind. So this shirt will be the color that it's going to be for many, many years after the wash. Okay. Oops. Didn't mean to hit that. So I'm going to give that a squeeze. And we're going to put it here in our soapy water. Let that sit for 20 minutes. Now that we've soaked for 20 minutes, we're going to rinse this extra soap out of here and out of these shirts. The soap is not good for your washing machine. If you do this soak in dish soap, 100% rinse this out again. A little bit in your washing machine is going to be okay, but just this, you don't want to put full strength in there. The bearings in your washing machine cannot handle it. It suds up a whole bunch. The pump to pump the water out can't handle it. There's just too much going on here, so you're going to want to rinse these out. You see, I got multiple shirts that I was rinsing in there one time. You see how these are vastly different, but neither of the dye from one transferred into the other. I'm just going to do a decent rinse right here. And then one more squeeze out. Into the bucket. Same with this one. And these are going to go into the washing machine. I always put in an old towel or two, something that I'm not worried about catching any dye or dyeing at all. This can help catch any of the rest over dye that's in those. It's going to get regular laundry detergent. And then the regular wash cycle, but an extra rinse. And if you have quite a few, maybe 2 extra rinses. All right, so our spider design, all washed, it's dried. I do dry these on low heat. You can air dry, tumble dry, dry on heat if you want. It's really a preference. The higher heats can shrink the shirts, so you really kind of got to work with that. That's going to be a preference for you. I'm going to go over the shirt a little bit here. So when it was tied up, we dyed the color all on one side, and then that black that we put over the color, that's going to be this black right here. So you see how there's like two different blacks. So when we dyed all the color, that was this whole strip right here, and then we put a little bit of black over the top, and then when we flipped it over and dyed the other side, that's this black all right here. So this is our spider design. It's all finished. If you'd like to see more videos, please click like and subscribe. My name is Nate. Thank you for watching.